Good morning, class. Online admin 3313. I hope you're doing well. If you live near Fort Worth, you know we are in the middle of an incredible Indian summer. It's supposed to be 98 degrees today. Not ready for that in the middle of October. If you're somewhere where it's cool and it really is fall where you are, then you're being blessed today. Catch you up to speed with where the classroom is moving, and I covered two areas this past week or on Monday morning, dealing not out of bounds by any stretch of the imagination, but kind of off the beaten path in subject matter, and it's areas that we deal with as leaders of people in the church. They're administrative challenges that are ours to deal with, whether we want it or not. First of all, it's dealing with interruptions and crises. First of all, interruptions. Our ministry is about being interrupted. You know, people need to see us for different things. People sometimes have very traumatic instances going on in their life, and other times people, you know, just want to come hang out for a little bit. And from my experience anyway, you know, our days at the church office or Christian organization office, whatever it might be, you know, are laden with this kind of thing. And it's what we do. There really aren't any classes at seminary or anything talking about how we deal with this kind of thing, but we need to learn to deal with it. One of the things that I do when people stick their head in the door and say, "Do you have a minute?" I'll tell them exactly how many minutes that I have. I'll say, "Well, yeah, I got 10. Sit down. You know, how can I help you?" That kind of thing. You need to be ruthless with time as far as interruptions are concerned, and yet gracious with people. You don't want to turn people off. You don't want to get people angry or hurt their feelings, you know, because you're short with them or you're not giving them your undivided attention. But just be ruthless with the time. Give them a set amount of time that they can meet with you. If they make an appointment, you know, that's a different story. But I'm talking about interrupting, just dropping in to say hey or to deal with a certain issue, whatever it might be. I'll put on for a discussion board to discuss how you deal with interruptions in your ministry area or your workplace, and how you do that. Maybe some of you got some secrets that you'd share with others in the class. Crises are a whole different thing. Crises come along every now and then in the life of the church, and at various magnitudes. They can be you know, a car accident takes the life of a stalwart family within the congregation, or even a staff member. You know, unexpected deaths, natural disasters, economic downturns that affect tithes and offerings, and then the tragedy, you know, that I faced as a young man. A young church leader was 19 or so people being killed in a bus accident the day after Christmas many years ago. You got to look for opportunities somehow when things begin to settle, when the tossed seas of crisis begin to calm down a little bit. You know, what opportunities are there? The church really becomes the church in times of crisis, and it kind of makes you wonder why we can't act that way, you know, with benevolent hearts and caring hearts, and, you know, putting others before ourselves every day in the church. But it seems that crisis brings this out more than anything. Another issue that we talked about in class is dealing with change. Now, this could be a semester-long topic all in itself, you know, but I just wanted to roll out there, you know, how change affects us as administrators, as leaders of people in the church. And basically, there's going to be two ways that we deal with change as church leaders. Number one, we can initiate it. In other words, things need to change, and so that we're going to lead people in doing that. Secondly, and probably most prevalently, is that we manage change. Things come up that draw people away from what they perceived or originally understood how things are to be, and we have to manage that. We have to be the shepherd in that, if you will, that calming voice sometimes, that encourager, or that, general out in front of the army on a white horse, just depending on what it might be. People are very resistant to change. You guys know this, and their ability, whether just as a knee-jerk reaction or that's just who they are, people are very resistant. This is a generational thing. You have the older people in the church, the baby boomers and so forth that are in your congregation, and even the silent generation prior to them that are still alive. They're very resistant to change, and that's a generational thing, I believe, from my generational theory study. On the other hand, millennials, which many of you are opposite of that. Change, great, let's do that. Why didn't we do that yesterday? Let's change. But we can come up with all kinds of things to where that are our resistance to that we want to block change, and it goes from it's against our policy. We've never done it that way before. The church down the street tried it and it didn't work for them. People won't like it, and just on and on and on and on. The list could go. Why we don't want to change. I think I mentioned to you, change is something that's different than what people originally understood or perceived. And if you just take that basic definition, then the possibility for change is a very real thing, especially those that just happen by circumstance or something we didn't initiate, and those that we got to manage. And what you're trying to do, what change does, oftentimes it creates a problem for people. So then your answer or our answer as leader in the church is, what can we do then to solve the problem that the change has caused? And what we don't want to get into is making sure our solution causes a bigger problem than the change does. I know that sounds kind of redundant, like a dog chasing its tail and stuff, but that's where we find ourselves oftentimes. We come up with a solution, and it's kind of like medicine, or kind of like commercials on TV. Where this disclaimer comes out. Here are the side effects of this deal, and then you got to ask yourself the question. Good grief. Seems like the condition I'm trying to treat, is easier on me than the medication side effects that are going to be there. And managing change or initiating change to solve problems, can get like that. You gotta understand what the problem is. Then you got to look at what are the possible solutions, or maybe more than one. And oftentimes I know you don't have time to do this. If the sanctuary is burning, that's a change you got to deal with, get people out of the sanctuary. But if you're going to initiate some change that's important for church growth and mission accomplishment and stuff like that, then there's a process that you want to try and go through. What are going to be the obstacles to the solution there? Observed conflict that the change might create or cause. What are the factors that are going to influence the change, both internally within your congregation and externally within the community, and so on and so forth. And then you want to facilitate creative solutions. Ask people, what do you think about this? What do you think we should do about this? The further down the organizational hierarchy that you involve people in the change process, the more likely they're going to get on board. Besides, somebody, you may not be the one that has the magic answer. There might be someone down the organizational ladder that comes up with the greatest solution that there is. So involve people in solution, and then you got to make a decision. Decide on what you're going to do, and then generate some strategies on how you're going to implement that decision in order that the change might be dealt with. There are many questions that are there. Objectives, we've talked about that. It's just the same kind of thing. Here's what we're going to do in order to accomplish the change or manage the change or to solve the problem that change has occurred. But you certainly want to remain calm about it. You want to be positive. You want to don't want to fly off the handle or anything like that. And use self-restraint in your own life as leader. Be able to see which problems are critical. There may be some problems that are coming because of change, and you want to make sure that you prioritize those and do the first thing first, and so on and so forth. You're going to expend energy, and you're going to expend time. You're going to expend resources, toward solving the problem that changes occur because of change, and you just want to be a good steward of all of those things. Like interruptions is part of what we do in ministry. Change is also one of those common things that we have to deal with. So change may cause a problem, but it also may offer you an opportunity, and you got to have a twofold viewpoint, a twofold perception of what you're looking at. If you're going to solve a problem, all it's going to do is raise you back to the standard, to the level of performance that you were previously found yourself in. You're here, change happens, things drop a little bit, you solve the problem, and you get right back. It takes you back to where you were. It takes you back to the beginning place, if you will, before the change. When you make the most of opportunities, though, your final resting place, if you will, after the problem is solved, usually exceeds a higher level of expectation than what you would have done if you were just solving problems. So I encourage you in change, to look for opportunities in doing that, solving the problem of change. Peter Drucker says this. He says, solving problems restores normality, but results come from the exploitation of opportunities. And I tried to just explain that in layman's terms to you. They can change can uncover problems or opportunities or both. And we need to make a decision on which way. Sometimes we've got to deal with both of them, but let's do the best that we can to make our opportunities be the thing that lasts in ministry rather than problems. This is a very brief overview of what we looked at. The change in problem solving PowerPoints are kind of extensive, and they'll give you a lot of information there. Neither one of these are needed necessarily for the learning activity number 1, which I want to talk to you about now. I will post that under course content, not under assignments. It'll be a Word document, and it'll be a subjective response to a circumstance that's where you are a staff member and a new pastor has come on board, and he needs you to help him understand the administrative process. He sees himself as a visionary and understands that you are the nuts and bolts type of staff member that crosses all the T's and dots all the I's and is good at administration. If you have any questions after you look at the document, feel free to call or email me, and I'll try and work those out for you. The main thing is this is not really an academic paper, not an academic exercise. It's only 4 pages long, and that's with the title page. It is a narrative. The pastor's going to ask you 3 separate areas. This is going to be italicized words on the assignment itself. So focus on the italicized statements or questions that the pastor is making to you in this hypothetical meeting. And you're going to, from the knowledge you have from your readings and PowerPoints, and these little short videos and stuff, just respond to the pastor, and I want to know what you would say to him. Okay, now that's a different type of assignment, what you would say to the pastor, so it is a narrative. Also, check under the announcements part. I'm going to give you some reading assignments to catch you up. They're really going to go back to last week's lesson and on organizing, and I've got an assignment for either book, regardless of which one you have, either the Anthony and Estep book or the Welch book, and I'll put those in an announcement. So there will be a discussion board as well. It's been brought up that there were weekly discussion boards mentioned on the syllabus, and I've already not done that, but I did put out an announcement that there would not be a discussion board. Discussion sometimes, well, all the time, it comes with the content. Not all content is applicable to good discussion, and there was one week I decided, we didn't need one of those. There will be a discussion on interruptions. I think it can be an interesting one and how we deal with that, and we can learn from one another, and that is how to make us better stewards of people's time and our time when interruptions occur. Pardon me, I timed out there for a minute. I hope you're doing well. Stay in touch. I'll try and do that. I'm going to have some minor surgery here, well, Friday of next week, so that'll affect the week after, and I'll keep in touch with you from home with my computer, but so I will be there. The background won't look like my office. It'll look like something else, so I hope you're doing well. Remember the prayer requests on the discussion board so we can keep up with what your needs are in your life. I hope you're doing well, and I will talk to you guys later on.